ready. All right, and I will share my screen. David will be joining us briefly, our executive director. And here we go. All right, well, good morning and welcome to our November Boston Urban Forest Friends meeting. Today is November 17th, Friday. It has been a while. I haven't seen this group since September. So I hope that folks are here and ready and have a lot of great updates. I would definitely like to, get us started off in our meeting norms. During talks and presentations, please keep your phone, please stay on mute. I've already started recording. You can keep your cameras on if you'd like. And if you have questions, please raise your hands or put your questions in the chat and try to limit your speaking time to, under 10 minutes, under 2 minutes, not 10 minutes, 2 minutes. I know some of us can go for 10 minutes, but we'll do 2 minutes. Also, this picture is from our Brighton Tree giveaway. If anyone doesn't know, that's City Councilor Liz Breeden for the city of Brighton, Austin Brighton. Let's go into our agenda. All right, so welcome back, everybody. We have our community announcements. We have what topics would you like to discuss in a little while. There will be a survey for folks to fill out live while we're online, and we'll try to get some feedback on that. Actually, we're going to record your responses, and then for our December year-end meeting is where we will talk more about what we're going to, how we're going to lead Buff into the future, into 2024. Then we'll have an open discussion. David will be here to talk more about that. The survey, if you haven't filled that out, which many of you already have, and just a little information about our next meeting date, which is December 8th. All right, so moving right along, let us get into our community updates. And if you have anything that you would like to share with this group, which I hope you all do, please raise your hands and you will be next or first. All right, Sarah. Actually, Sarah, before you start, I just wanted to say good morning and welcome to those of you who have not been here before. Liz, I'm not sure if you've been here before. It's good to meet you if you have. And Annalisa, welcome to our monthly meeting. And Sarah, please go on with your updates.
Okay, hi everyone. I've been updating this group for a number of years now about the planning for the Shattuck Hospital site in Franklin Park, which in a real nutshell was part of Franklin Park for 50 years plus, until it was transferred to the state for the hospital. The state is tearing down the hospital and figuring out what to do with the site, and in a somewhat dysfunctional planning process, an RFP process, they got one proposal for something 10 times larger than they ever talked about in public meetings. And it's for an important need, recovery for people dealing with substance use disorder and mental health issues. But there are a whole lot of questions about the location, the size, the model. So the neighborhood reaction has been mostly negative, I would say. And there's now a website, a brief video, a Facebook page, and a petition, along with a lot of media that I think I won't have room to put all of that in the chat, but I'll put a few links in. And if anyone is interested, please join the conversation by either Facebook or getting added to the email list. Thank you. Any questions if we have a moment?
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Yeah, David just put, please share. We'll put everything in our meeting notes. So thank you very much. Actually, Sarah, I did have a question. Have they decreased or increased the amount of units based on the opposition from the community?
They have not changed their proposal through 2 webinars, a Zoom meeting, an open house, and a couple of community-led meetings. But I have to say, I'm thinking we're not in a mood, when I say we, the people who are opposed to the current proposal are not all necessarily on the same page of what should happen next, whether it's return to parkland, do a smaller project, do 10 small projects statewide, rather than put so much in one place. So I don't know what the right answer is there. So far, the message has just been, this is not the right solution. Yeah, and it's interesting that right away when BMC, Boston Medical Center, was provisionally designated, they put out dates for here's going to be our 2 meetings for a presentation, like trying to build support. Then they had a steady stream, and all of a sudden they're pretty quiet. So hopefully they're thinking about what to do. The last update on the website was August, and we're in mid-November. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you again, as always, for giving us an amazing update and, staying on track with this whole Shattuck thing. All right. Bill, your hand was up next, and Melissa, you're after Bill. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Jarrell. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm driving, so I'm not on video. But my name is Bill Masterson. I'm with Tree Eastie. Wanted to share some updates with the hope that it might benefit some of the other folks that are on this call. Tree Eastie is a urban forest group that's focused on expanding the tree canopy in East Boston. So some of the things that we've just accomplished, we put our shovels away just this week for the season. And we, at the same time, planted our 300th tree, which was really cool and something we're very proud of. Mostly street trees, also park trees, and a lot of that work was done in conjunction with Speak for the Trees. So we've had a great relationship and alliance with Speak for the Trees, and that's really helped us be able to expand the canopy in East Boston. Some of the other things that we've done that I thought would be of interest to the group is that we have also begun planting in school playgrounds. So we're finding that if we network directly with Boston Public School with the principals or the key environmental science teachers in the schools, that's one way to be able to get trees planted on playgrounds. But we've also given away 57 yard trees. And when I say given away, what we do is we source 6 to 8 foot trees, so they're pretty good size. They're not the regular 2-inch caliber, but they're good sized trees, and we actually do the planting. So it's not a lot of heavy lifting. We can get a tree in the ground in a matter of a half hour or so, but because so much of the tree canopy loss in Boston is coming from private land, this is one good way to be able to, 1, increase the canopy, and 2, actually do some testing and modeling for the Alliance program that's going to start next year. So we've got some good experience around planting on private property, which I think could be beneficial. The last thing that I'll mention is that we started this year doing some neighborhood education, and we developed a door hanger that we've been using in East Boston to be able to educate folks on the benefits of trees and also what they can do to help expand the canopy. So that's either adopt a tree, call 311 to get a new tree, or volunteer with Tree Eastie. I monitor the 311 new tree requests, and I've seen a spike in the number of trees that have been requested from East Boston, which is really cool. And then also we're working with the city to be able to, if we have a neighbor who wants to have more trees planted on their street, we have that neighbor going door to door getting signatures. If they're the owner of the property, which the city requires, that's great. If not, they need the owner's permission. But we've been successful at coming up with petitions of anywhere from, say, 3 to 7 trees on a street in different parts of East Boston, feed that into the Parks Department, and have been able to get them to start to plant trees as well. So that's some of the highlights. Hope that's a benefit. If anybody has any questions or needs some more information, just put it in the chat and I'll send you whatever it is that you're looking for. But thanks for creating this forum to share ideas. I appreciate it.
Hey, Bill, as always, thank you very, very much. Question, how does someone monitor tree requests on 311? Do you have to be
So,
part of the system, or how does that work?
no, I can kind of walk you through it. It took a while for me to figure out how to do it, but if you go onto the 311 site, they're all, I mean, there's, I don't, 2 million 311 requests that are either open or closed that are in that system. I just search on new tree requests. There are some that are open and some that are closed, and I can see when new ones, if I filter it, I can see when new ones are added. It's for the entire city, so I have to kind of go through to pick out the ones from East Boston. But yeah, if you're interested in knowing what residents are looking to try to get trees planted across the city in any neighborhood or address, it's doable.
Okay, yeah, that seems really helpful. I have to let Claire know about that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Melissa, you're next. Good morning again. You're on mute.
Thank you. Thanks, Cheryl.
Mhm.
Well, we all are often singing the same tune, so I will once again sing my tune from Cambridge. This time, it was quite interesting. We had another first over here where a family decided they wanted to plant a Miyawaki forest in their front yard. And this was a woman in her 80s who decided that this is what she wanted to do. She contributed a lot toward purchasing the various sort of 4-story of plants. And then the call went out to the community. And it was great. I mean, lots and lots of people showed up. The city closed the road and set up games for kids. So it became another kind of family event. And we had music to welcome the trees, and in an afternoon another Miyawaki forest was planted, this one the first on private property. As you know, we have several on public property, and this one, the front yard area that was planted, I would say was probably roughly the size of about 4 parking spaces, not the typical 6 parking spaces that one says are needed for Miyawaki. But I spoke with Maya Dutta, who was there from biodiversity, and she'd been the one who had organized the Miyawaki planting in Danahy Park. And she said that, you know, it could work. I mean, in her evaluation, it could work, and it had been well thought out. So, you know, it might be something that Eastie's interested in, or other places that have small zones but want to do something like this. So anyway, it was exciting to see it work, and the community eagerly turning out to be a part of the planting again.
Wow, that sounds awesome, Melissa. Thank you very much for letting us know about that. And yeah, I would definitely, Bill's still on here, so you know, you guys can connect on that if that will be something that might work out in East Boston as well. That's awesome. Cool. All right. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Lisa Beatman here from the Mount Hope Canterbury Neighborhood Association in Eastern Rosendale, and also Crane Ledge Woods Coalition. And I can't remember if I did this at a past meeting, but I did want to speak for the trees on behalf of our neighborhood association for beginning to plant new trees in Mount Hope Cemetery, which is right on the Mattapan border, to start replacing the over 100 beautiful mature trees that have been dying. The city had not been really maintaining the beautiful garden-based cemetery for a long time. So thank you for planting trees in the kind of the back of the cemetery where there are many, many resident abutters, and also for the future trees that you're going to be planting. So thank you for that. And also on behalf of the Crane Ledge Woods Coalition, we co-sponsored a fabulous nature-based solutions forum at the Boston Nature Center. Dira was one of the panelists. Thank you. It was really great having a lot of nature-based solutions, green infrastructure groups there. And we're working on next steps, which will include a follow-up meeting with Reverend Mariama White Hammond, the Chief of Energy, Open Space, and Environment, not in that order. And we're working with the Green New Deal Nature-Based Solutions Subcommittee, which Dira chairs and I'm a member of, regarding planning that meeting. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lisa, for that update. I did want to call out when you mentioned the Boston Nature Center, we're joined by Jesse Scott from the United States Forest Service. And David and I and Claire attended the Boston Nature Center for the Boston Urban Connections in-person meeting. I believe that's what it was called. And Jesse Scott did a wonderful presentation. Not to put you on the spot, Jesse, but I don't know if you wanted to say hello or say anything about that. But Lisa reminded me when she mentioned Boston Nature Center.
Thank you, Jarrell. I appreciate being put on the spot there. But yeah, so we did do a partners meeting with at the Boston Nature Center, and it pretty much was focused on sharing more information about partnering with the U.S. Forest Service and some of the work that we're doing and some of the opportunities that have been going on both in Boston, Chicago, Detroit, and the expansion into I think it was Newark, New Jersey. So so just sharing that information. Unfortunately, we do not have the video of that meeting, but still looking for additional opportunities to expand our partnerships in the greater Boston area, connecting people to nature in many, many different ways. So if you have ideas, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to talk to you.
Thank you, Jesse. You can drop your email in the chat for folks. Dira, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm in the car, so I can't be on camera. But thanks, Lisa, for highlighting some of the things that the Nature-Based Solutions group is doing. I also wanted to highlight, and I can try and keep folks in this group also kind of updated on when we do host the conversation follow-up with Reverend Mariama. The other thing that I wanted to update, in case anyone in this group is interested or knows any other individual groups or consulting firms that they think is great, but Charles River Watershed Association put out an RFR for a consultant to help us work on our regional tree planting and protection plan. That we're hoping to have a consultant join us in the new year. So I'll try and put the link in the chat so people can take a look at it, and feel free to share with your community.
Thank you, Dira. That sounds good. Looking forward to that. Amara, good morning. You're up next.
Good morning, Drill. Hi, everyone. My name is Amara Chittenden. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for Mass Audubon out of the Boston Nature Center, and the Program Coordinator for the Tree Alliance. If I haven't met, it's nice to see everyone. Just wanted to give an update that we've started meeting in subcommittees as part of the Alliance. So folks who are interested in different aspects of the work that the Alliance is doing. So we're trying to move that forward to get a grant process set for the beginning of next year. So if anyone's interested in learning more about the Alliance or being a part of any of those, I'll put my email in the chat, but just wanted to give that update. And huge shout out to Speak for the Trees for a really cool fall planting in conjunction with Habitat for Humanity. A really great connection between resident and a planting on private land. So just wanted to give that update, but nice to see everyone.
Thank you, Amar. Appreciate the update and the shout out. We've been getting a lot of shout outs today. Speak for the Trees. We're not doing nothing. We're just out here, We actually planted trees. How many? We planted 7 trees yesterday at Roxbury Community College, right on Columbus Ave and Cedar Street. So anytime you're on Columbus Ave, riding by Roxbury Community College, there's trees out front. We planted 4 oak trees in front, David, right? Not couple of red maples. And I think that was about it, right? Just oaks and maples. Awesome. But it was a really good planting. The weather was perfect. Today will be a good day to plant trees too, but I don't think we have any. I think actually Claire may have some trees scheduled to be planted. Claire is our arborist, for those who don't know, and she's been planting like a mad woman. So, anywho. All right. All right, moving on. Thank you all for the updates. Really appreciate it. Let me go back to the thing here so I can make sure I got it. All right, community updates. So now we are at Speak for the Trees updates. I kind of just gave an update about our tree planting that we did yesterday. We've planted like 20 trees like in the last week or so. I may be off with that number. I was away on vacation, so there were some events that I missed. We did have a celebration on Monday, this past Monday. Yes, this past Monday. And I'm not sure if any of you were there. David, I don't know if you want to speak on that right now, but we had a good turnout. We met some new people, were visited by some old friends and supporters. And then we had I believe this is the Habitat for Humanity tree planting. Then we had our tree planting yesterday. So we've been busy. It's been a busy week. Most of our team isn't here right now to give any further updates. David, I don't know if you want to talk on
I just wanted to, like you said, Claire's out been planting trees all week through our own private yard tree program, Bill, that I don't know how much she shared with you, but it's really a great opportunity, and I know that's going to be lots more opportunity with the Tree Alliance to do that type of work. And then on Monday, we also had the joy of planting 11 trees at Harambe Park. Those were an alley of red maples, some trees that had died 2 or 3 years ago, and we worked closely with the arborist from the city of Boston to get those trees in the ground. We've been piloting what's called a bare root planting project this fall, which are trees, for those of you who are interested, Claire knows all about this, but oftentimes trees are delivered balled and burlapped, which makes them really heavy because you're transporting a lot of soil, hundreds of pounds often, so you have to dig a deep hole, they're difficult to move. So we've purchased about 50 bare root trees that essentially are what they sound like. They're about 8 feet tall, I would say, some 10 feet tall. They don't have any soil on them, on the roots, and they're really easy to maneuver. They do really well in transplanting, apparently. They're just more delicate to store, and you can't overwinter them. So Claire and Mackay and some other folks on the team have been planting those. We planted those in the Habitat site. And it's just a great way it makes our life a lot easier. And what else was I going to say? Oh, and the event, Sarah was there. Victoria, of course, was there. Thank you for joining us, Sarah. It's great to see you in person. We have some videos that we'll hopefully be sharing from the event, and also some new videos that Jarell has been instrumental in producing from some of our tree walks. So stay tuned for those. And I don't think we have any more formal plantings. I know Claire's planting this week and next week on private yards. But I think we're putting away our shovels, Bill, hopefully by Thanksgiving.
Thanks, David. I forgot about the Harambe planting. Thank you for bringing that up.
Well, you were out in LA enjoying the bright sunshine.
Yes, I was, and I came back to this. Well, actually, it's not bad today, but Tuesday morning. Oh yeah, that was brutal. Thanks, David. All right, so also from on our end, our updates, we have been thinking about ways to engage with our Buff members a little bit more, and wanting to have future meetings, Buff meetings, discussing topics that are of interest to our individual members. Usually when I host the meetings, it's based on whoever wants to be a presenter, to discuss and share their topic of interest. We do have our community updates where people can also discuss things that they're interested in as well, but it's usually a short, quick update. But we want to move into a more intentional space where everyone has a voice. Everyone can be, we want to develop working groups, put it that way, working groups with people who are interested in discussing the same topics or interested in the same things. So what we would like to do, as I mentioned earlier, is we want to have a little survey where folks can just indicate what topics you would like to discuss at future BUFF meetings. Based on the information that we get from this survey, it's a quick, we can do it now, or you can do it later, but it's a quick survey. I will compile the information and present it at our next BUFF meeting, and we're going to discuss more a little bit about working groups and who would be interested in taking the lead on future BUFF meetings. This is it's a working group. All of the BUFF is a group for all of us. Those of us that speak for the trees don't have to run every single meeting, but we would like to, share the wealth, so to speak, with everyone out there who will be interested in running a meeting. So I'm going to put this in the chat. I don't know if you did, David, already. Oops.
I don't have, yeah, if you could put it in the chat, I don't think I have access, or it would take me a while to get access to it.
Okay, I'll put that in the chat. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And David, would you like to?
Yeah, I just wanted to, yeah, stop sharing your screen for a minute if you could. So I will let folks take a minute once it's in the chat. I think it would be great if we just each took a minute to fill out that survey. And we're also going to send it out to the entire BUFF network. Our thinking here, part of our thinking is Jarrell is an army of one. He does an amazing job at his work. Yes, he works hard. And it would be wonderful to not only support the work he does, but expand it by getting more folks, like you said, in working groups to sort of really dig in more deeply into what this network could look like. There is the Alliance group that's going to be doing, I think, a lot of work around connecting people around resources and planting opportunities. I think BUFF can and should serve a supporting role for that, but I also think that there are probably things that the Tree Alliance can't and shouldn't be doing, such as talking about ordinances, especially on private land, as most of their funding is coming from the city, and there's a conflict of interest there. So I think there's an opportunity for us to think carefully about what BUFF will look like, as Jarrell said, in 2024, and how different working groups might support that vision for the future. So I'm just going to shut up for a minute or two, let people fill out that survey, because there's nothing like the present to get people to do surveys. It's really brief. I think it's just 2 or 3 questions. Is that right, Jarrell?
That is correct.
So if you wouldn't mind, fill out the survey and we'll play some Jeopardy music in the background or something.
Thank you.
Do, 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 do. hard to tell. I used to be a teacher. It's hard to tell when people are done when you're just looking at their little box. But in class, it was always easy. I would just tell people to close their laptops or put down their pencils. So it looks like a couple of folks are still typing. I'll let people type for another minute.
Well, David, ironically, your timing was spot on. On my end, I was playing the Jeopardy theme song. Nobody could hear it, apparently. But as soon as I stopped it is when you started talking. That's amazing.
We're in sync, Drew,
We are in sync.
as always.
Yes. All right. All right. So I know some of you are driving, so I hope you're not typing and driving. So
Yes, this will all go out in the meeting notes and we'll encourage, not only today's attendees, but others too, move this forward. We
right.
wanted,
Absolutely.
and
Mhm.
if I'm remembering correctly, Jarrell, we wanted to just leave some space and time for folks to, part of the reason our secret agenda on this survey was to get people's juices flowing and ideas percolating. And now that you've had a minute to just think about 2024, we thought we could just open up the space. We'll have a fuller conversation in December, as Rel said, but just open up the space to have an informal conversation on what people see as needs and opportunities for this group. And I'll be taking notes. And Jarrell, maybe
Yes.
you can manage the discussion space.
All right.
Brainstorming session.
Yes, absolutely. Brainstorming. So as David mentioned, if anybody would like to make any comments, ideas, suggestions, like what do you want to talk about? What do you want to see from Buff in the future? Type of conversations. Celeste, do you have any updates on the ordinance, or because I remember it's been a while since we met. I think you are part of that as well. I don't know if you wanted to say anything about that or have a discussion about it.
Well, as everyone knows, Councillor Arroyo was defeated in the preliminary election in September, and he was our sponsor. We weren't happy with what the administration came back with for their version. And at Councillor Arroyo's insistence, it covered only trees on public land. So we expressed a willingness to continue discussion with the Environment Department and never heard a reply. So we've sort of stepped back and are thinking about how we're going to rework introducing a new ordinance in January, possibly ordinance that covers public and private trees. So nothing definite, just a pause in what's going on. David may be able to amplify my comments or add to them.
Yeah, we did have a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I had to leave early, Celeste. That's the only update I have, and I think you said most of what I would echo everything you said. I think the only thing personally I would add, and I think there's going to be maybe a further conversation about this, is the ordinance as it was presented by Arroyo about a year ago now was taken directly from Somerville and then reworked many times, and in my mind became sort of a hodgepodge, a Frankenstein of ordinances. And I, for one, feel like we might just want to start from scratch. I think there are other people who feel like we should take what we have and continue advocating for that. So that's gonna. I might be alone in that in that feeling, but I do feel like that's something for us to consider. I know a lot of work has been put into the ordinance as it stands now, but I also feel like this might be an opportunity to make something that's really good instead of something that feels like it was sort of pieced together. with very competing sort of political aspirations. I don't know if I captured that well, Celeste.
No, I think you did. I think maybe after you left, we discussed the time element. We need a counselor and maybe 2 counselors to sponsor this. And we also need to have them introduce it as soon as possible, since it's introduced and then there are hearings and back and forth with other interests and the administration, etc. And then they move into budget season, so all bets are off. And then you have summer where not that much happens, which brings us all the way to fall. And so, a year seems like a long time, but in the city council world, it gets abbreviated. So, I mean, we did have an ordinance before Arroyo put in the Somerville ordinance too. So, I don't know that we have to completely start from scratch. We have different things to read.
Thank you. Thank you,
So
Celeste.
to be continued, Jarrell.
Okay. Well, let's continue it. Sarah?
Yeah, if I can add one brief point to that ongoing decision process. I think we don't know yet if Enrique, excuse me, Pepin, who will be representing the district that was represented by Ricardo Arroyo, whether he would prioritize this, knowing that Crane Ledge, certain key stakeholders were in that district, and some of the participating groups are in that district. So that's one open question. And another thought that occurred to me after our most recent meeting, a lot of times staff, when a counselor doesn't get reelected or retires, a lot of times the incoming hires their chief of staff or constituent people who have the institutional memory. And in that sense, if Enrique's interested, and so I know Arroyo staff have had some turnover already, but if Jordan stays on, people who remember, might be easier to pick up where we left off. I don't know. Well, yeah, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds on that, but I think those questions will be answered between now and January, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Enrique has not been formally asked, so that's why we don't know his position.
Right. But groups, I don't know the etiquette. Groups, I heard, where was it? Maybe Atlanta, that he's been on a walk with neighbors. People, advocacy groups are reaching out during this time. So,
of course.
Yeah, so I don't know if the tree ordinance folks, reach out at this time or wait till January, and who would be
you would do it before January.
Right. So yeah.
Okay, so it looks like Celeste and Sarah, you might be part of a working group going into 2024. And David, you're part of that team too, possibly.
Needs all the help it can get.
Right. So are there any other I'm just thinking more about next year, if there's any other individuals here who can see themselves working as part of a working group with other members of Buff and even new members of Buff. It's always, everyone is open to recruit new people to join us. We have a large mailing list, but it can always be a little bit bigger. Sarah, go ahead.
I have one other topic that I realized I should have mentioned in the beginning updates, and I'll be brief. Some of you are following the Article 80 revision where the city is trying to streamline, I think, the development process, which already leaves residents sometimes feeling like they don't have enough of a voice, but want to flag that they have a survey that is open through November. And I don't know if tree people have thought about how to put in there more awareness or consciousness raising about getting development projects to work around existing mature trees. Like if they're streamlining, then it would help if the city had that as a priority up front. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
There are actually two surveys. There's an Article 80, and then there's the Streets and Squares, which has nothing to do with Article 80.
Right,
so
that's, yeah,
there are two different surveys.
yes. So multiple ways to get involved. I don't know if the Streets and Squares has a deadline. Do you know, Celeste? So
Well,
the Article 80 is
they're
on my mind.
bulldozing Streets and Squares as fast as they can. So
Right. I
mean,
just know that
I don't think they're going to be really following any survey results.
well,
Mhm.
that's another thing. If we do speak up, they might pay attention. If we don't speak up, they definitely won't pay attention. So,
Well, it's Streets and Squares. It's the downtown area. So they did talk about open space at the meeting last week. But the tree cover in those areas is not great. The issues
If
there.
you have links to those surveys, you could share. We'll include them in the notes.
Mhm.
Sarah probably has them at her fingertip.
All right, Lisa, you have something to add?
Sure. I just want to chime in on that. Thank you, Sarah, for bringing that up, and Celeste for contributing. I'm going to chime in with Sarah, being relentlessly optimistic, and that, you know, the more of us that do try really hard to keep putting this on the table about protecting mature trees, protecting existing natural resource assets, that if we don't, then we won't get anywhere. If we do, we have a chance. And also Squares and Streets is, you know, it's about density or super density at like all existing rapid transit stations, which is all around the city. So Rosendale Village, for example, and I just was reading about some large developments being planned for like Bunker Hill, Shawmut area, you know, so it is, and yeah, the city is, as everyone knows, pushing forward really fast and hard, and we just have to try as well as we can to be a part of that. And, you know, I'm sure most of you have probably experienced this, you know, there's a survey that doesn't really have space for what we want to say. So we just look for every way to do it, like any open-ended question that isn't just like check the box, you know, to put it in, and also to keep lobbying our officials on this stuff. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Celeste, you're going to add to that?
I just have one thing to add. I'm probably not as rosy and optimistic as Lisa and Sarah are, but I've been slogging through these meetings now almost weekly for more than weekly for a couple months. The point is here, it doesn't, you know, forget about trees and open space are important, but what's really more important is we just don't have a seat at the table. In any of these initiatives, there's no provision for community input. You know, they want to, BPDA doesn't have experience in zoning, but they're still rezoning these squares, and they want to put, you know, on this block you can build 6 stories, the block behind it 4 stories. They just want to do these blanket plans, and the community that it's in, they're basically saying there don't have to be any meetings. There's no CBA review, so, you know, we're just going to build it. So the community has no input into design. You know, could it be set back a few feet, have a plaza, some trees? I mean, there's no provision for us to have a seat at the table. So.
So,
Stress that community engagement.
thank you. And I think, I don't know how that falls into just bringing it back to the, opportunity here for thinking about 2024. You know, certainly there's a place for ordinances. I wonder what other types of work, community engagement, whether it be that or something else that this group might want to undertake. And again, we're not looking for volunteers to lead subcommittees at this point. I think what we would like to get out on the table for us to talk about is just where there's a need. What are the types of work? What are the types of things that we want to engage in 2024? It might not be subcommittees structure. It might just be, we need to invite X, Y, and Z person to a future meeting. So
Right.
in the remaining time, if folks just want to like, what are the priorities that we all have as a collective? Ordinance, community representation, are there other topics that people would like to discuss in 2024?
How about a discussion of the types of trees that work well in the city, in the urban setting?
Mhm.
How about discussing how we might be able to persuade the city to use a less toxic ice?
The salt.
Yep.
Salt, yep. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm talking too much today, but I do have an idea. And this may not be easy. Depaving, finding ways to change surface parking lots that are basically heat islands, to find spots either around the edges or even I feel like sometimes when I'm driving, I notice a really nice parking lot that has like almost a median but skinny with trees, and all the cars are parked in the summer. All the cars are parked where the trees are. So I don't know. That might be more dealing with private property than city owned, although like the Shattuck Hospital has a humongous parking lot, which is not a good candidate because that's up for redevelopment. But if someone did a flyover, a drone camera view, or you can even do it on Google Maps, there's a lot of surface area that could be improved.
Mhm.
And I think Portland, Oregon, didn't Erica Madison move to Portland for a while to work on a depaving, like a whole organization that was dedicated to that?
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, she was there for about a year. Hi, this is Claire. I'm just
Hi,
listening in.
Claire.
Oh, hey, Claire.
Hi, I'm just out planting trees with Sam.
And the wonders of Zoom. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah,
All right.
Erica came back after a year, but there's a DPAVE group in Somerville, isn't there?
I don't know if they're a group specific or if it's from the Mystic River watershed that's been leading that. But yes, there are people doing that work in Somerville, I know.
Okay, Tyler.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, just this really piggybacks off what Sarah was saying. I'm really interested in intersection of transportation safety and urban forestry. So, utilizing curb cuts to remove the occasional parking space and replacing that with, a healthy tree to slow drivers down, but also, manage stormwater better. I did a research project in grad school on trees and parking areas in particular. So, Sarah, we should connect. And I'm happy to share that report that I made it's about 2018 is when I finished it. So, yeah.
Thanks, Tyler. Looks like we have another group potentially. Liz, good morning. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. And just to quickly introduce myself, I'm here as a representing Conservation Law Foundation and some of our urban forest work, but I'm also a resident of Boston, and so that's kind of the hat I'm wearing with this comment. And one thing that I've just noticed is I think there's a lot of everyday behaviors that people do that's harming trees that they don't necessarily know is. So I was thinking community engagement or education around that. For example, I live in South Boston where every single person has a dog and everyone lets their dog go to the bathroom in the tree pit, which is not great. Or you see a lot of people decorating the tree pits with brick or stone, to make it look just little things like that I think people, it's not with bad intent at all, but I think those little daily things that add up, especially we don't have a lot of trees around here. So I feel every time I see someone do something, I'm like, no, please don't. So just something around that I think could be interesting.
Thank you. And I thought you were going to say something different, but I'm glad you raised that because there's actually something Todd had mentioned and Todd Nister had mentioned over at Mistor over at a meeting a couple of weeks ago that the city wants to do a campaign specific to dog urine. And
yeah,
I can't
I
remember
spoke with
what
him about that at the
Yeah.
first meeting of the Tree Alliance. Him and I had a chat
Okay.
about that because we were both
Yeah, so they actually have, I think they're piloting some messaging around that. And we'd be, I think it's a great thing to talk about. I actually thought, Liz, that you were gonna discuss gas leaks, because I know that CLF has been
Yes,
talking a
that
lot about
is
gas leaks and also, their effect on, human health and all that, but also their effect on tree health. And I don't know if that's something that we want to explore as a group. I see it as actually an opportunity as I'm looking down this list of things, something like, winter salt and gas leaks are sort of and dog urine are three sides to the same coin, which is what types of how do we change behaviors and infrastructure to improve tree health?
Yeah, the trees get really beat up by all three of those elements. Really. I remember someone telling me about my dog when I had a dog and said, yeah, the dog pee is not good for trees. I was like, I know that. I work for Speak for the Trees. Don't you think I know that? No, I didn't say that, but I was like, I know you're right. We'll make sure that we don't water the tree with dog urine. All right, folks. Well, it is almost 12 o'clock. If no one has anything else to add, I think we can wrap up.
Thank you, Darrell. Can I just add one closing comment and then turn it back to you?
Me too. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you all for joining. I encourage you all to think more in the coming weeks on what 2024 might look like for this group. Share those ideas with Darrell or come prepared for our December meeting to discuss those more. If there are other organizations or individuals who you think are missing at this table and might have ideas as well, please extend an invite to them, share that survey with them, and come prepared in December to hopefully help us all together figure out what our plans are for the upcoming year.
Yes. And I just wanted to, I know Claire, you already said hello. I didn't know if you wanted to add anything. I know you're out there planting trees. Any final words from you, Claire, about the work you're doing?
Well, I'm out with Sam planting bare root trees for people who have signed up on our website through the Neighborhoods program. And it's disturbingly warm. I'm sorry I missed most of the meeting, but I think that gas leaks and even just reducing the amount of salt that the city applies would be an improvement. And so I think those are great places to start. And I have a dog, and sometimes I just need him to go to the bathroom wherever he wants because it can't be in my house. So I'm sympathetic to both sides of that issue.
Thank you, Claire. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're
Go ahead.
welcome.
All right. All right, folks, it's 12 o'clock. I hope to, hold on, let me just share my screen so you can see the last slide. I look forward to seeing you all at our next meeting on December 8th from 11 to 12. At that meeting, as I mentioned, we will discuss the topics that came up in the survey, the interest that the things that you're interested in that came up that you put in the survey, and we'll discuss those in December. So again, thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your week and enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the holiday if you celebrate it. And we will see you in December. Thank you all very much. Take care.
Bye all.
Bye all. Hey, Reed. You're on mute.
You want to stop recording?
Yeah.